people who recognize the need for us as a people of God being missional. We understand that the church is no longer, and it has not been for a long time, the primary connecting point for people who are outside the church. People who are outside of the church rarely, like outside of not your local church, the church, they're not coming in our churches for the most part. They're not, for the most part, they're not wandering in just to see what we're doing. So that means we have to make some different efforts to connect with them. You do see churches growing, but a lot of times that's just transfer growth. That's not really touching new people. And in addition to a missional lens, not just a missional lens does not, let me clarify what I'm saying. A missional lens doesn't necessarily just pertain to people who don't know the Lord, because we have a lot of people who know the Lord who are not coming in our churches. And we can't as just say they're just rebellious and leave them out there running rogue. As leaders, we cannot, in my opinion, we can't do that. We need to reach out even to them and see what it is that we can do to re-engage them into the house of God. And some of them have not left the Lord. They've left the church building for various reasons. So, all right. So we're going to talk about 5 basic categories of missional ministry. And I'm going to show this video. These are the 5 categories, and they're in a random order only because these are the order that they come in and they come up in the video. The video is one that I went and found all these different clips and put them together so that I can have this discussion. So the community outreach is one form of missional ministry. Recreational outreach is another form. And then in the third box, I have 3 different things. You hear marketplace ministry. You also hear it called business as ministry. You also hear it called business as mission. And then in the fourth box, there's the faith and work movement. Faith and work movement is actually like a large umbrella that includes marketplace and business as ministry and business as mission. But if there was going to be a distinction, a lot of time when people talk about marketplace ministries, the culture, people generally refer to that for entrepreneurs. But it doesn't necessarily just have to be entrepreneurs. But a lot of times it has this, like, they're out there, they're a marketplace apostle. They're, a lot of times it's people who are entrepreneurs. But the faith and work movement often has a more stronghold in professional workplaces. So you'll see like a bunch of people who are IT people who are believers get together outside of the church and have these conversations around scriptures and Bible, but it's through the lens of geeky IT people. You see healthcare workers doing this. There's Christian nurses, they get together and they do discipleship and formation type stuff that is really applicable to them as nurses, that we're just not going to do that in the church. And in the church, we're trying to stay kind of even till. But even like teachers, we have a whole different set of spiritual needs. So the faith and work movement would kind of take in some of that. And then there's community development, which is different than community outreach. Community development is, let me tell you the difference. Community outreach is just like meeting needs. People are hungry. People need clothes. It's just showing the love of Christ to meet needs, but it doesn't really move people out of where they are, the condition. Exactly. Whereas community development is about, let's build housing. Let's help people get mortgages or rental leases. Like, let's house people. Let's not just give them food. Let's give them work skills and then help them get a job that sustainable income. So when believers or churches, Christians come together and actually develop a flourishing community, not just tend to the needs of people in the community. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I saw just more of that here when I first moved here. A lot of the ministries here. They have their schools. There's even one that has their bank, and it has um, uh, little shopping centers. I mean, like it's so much. And so with that, as you mentioned, so many jobs were open or have opened up because like the whole little community belongs to the ministry.
Mhm.
And so, it was something else they had too. But it was,
Your medical center, that Christian
yeah,
medical center.
yes, like it was just Maisha, drove me by, and I just was like, as we were driving, it was like, and that's and everything had the name of that ministry, but it was so much more.
Mhm.
Then and then I always, and the tricky thing, and this is just in my own thoughts, is that with community outreach, you know, we do go out in the community, but it's just almost like there's this small tidbit thing that's missing. And I'll just say it because like some people in the community, they are going to show up because you're giving them something.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's all they really want. And whatever they need to do for that moment to get what it is that you're giving, they'll take it. But then that's the end of that. So it's like you put in a lot of work and effort into community outreach, but then like you said, and yet the church isn't still growing, or the ministry still isn't growing, or the numbers aren't increasing, or until um, another outreach event. So it's almost like in community outreach there's something missing, and I don't know what it used to be that was different when things happened in the community, but then also was a way where people were actually drawn in to now, but it's not the same.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Any other comments on that?
Marlene, because her lips is just
I
moving.
know. I'm waiting for you to say something, Marlene.
These are
I,
Mhm.
I, I'm just, sometimes we see things based on our call, if I can say it like that. What has God called us to do? I don't want to say it's an issue, but my concern is that the church world we're preaching to people's flesh and emotions versus speaking to their spirit.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is that you can give people all the things, the handouts, the conversation, the groups, but still they can go home empty.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
my concern is that how do we heal the brokenhearted? How do we heal the brokenhearted?
Mhm.
Because after people receive from Jesus or they receive from the disciples, there was an element of we don't leave them out there. We bring
Follow up.
them together and disciple them, help them understand the word of God and what God has done to them. And if we can ignite that fire, that joy, that peace, that hope into the heart of man, I don't think we would have a problem filling the church.
That's right.
I really don't. I think that we have seminared people to death. We have the red light, the green light, the blue light seminar. We have done some of everything. But sometimes you have to seek the old path.
Mm-hmm.
What was that filled the churches? And to me, what it was is that they seen the power of God.